This next part will see us refining our chest and creating the neck. And I'm going to go ahead and turn on shading, wireframe on shaded, so I get an idea of my edge flow going on right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go insert some more edge loops and refine our neck hole and our chest shape. So I'm going to insert another edge loop in my armpit area. I'm going to insert an edge loop right below the neck here and in between, right above the shoulder, in between my pecs and this middle edge loop right there. So this extra geometry will help us define our shapes a little bit more. I'm going to go ahead and start refining my shoulders a little bit better. And this neck hole could be a little bit of a problem here. So I'm going to select my corner verts and I'm going to bring them in. Actually, you know what? It's kind of hard to see the shape of my neck right now. So I'm going to select this neck hole edge loop and we're just going to scale it almost flat so I can get a better idea of what's going on and maybe bring it in a little bit. Everything looks real blocky and bad. Don't worry about that. And I'm going to select my corner vertices right here and scale them all the way almost in. Why don't we hide my mesh for right now? And we're just trying to get a nice geometric shape or organic shape out of this geometry we just made. You can see I'm selecting verts on both sides to kind of create a nice organic shape. I'm pulling these out. The neck is becoming more circular, but we can do a little bit better. Now that we have enough circular shape, I can grab my neck hole edge loop again and kind of scale it. Let's bring back my mesh and let's pull it up a little bit. And this reference here is nice because now we can see exactly where my neck may want to be. We're not trying to get anything too perfect now. We have some tools that'll help us relax the geometry and create more organic edge flow. So that'll do for right now. All right. So I'm going to introduce us to some new tools that'll help us turn this blocky wooden shirt into a more organic looking body. We're going to go up to mesh tools and we're going to see our sculpting tools right here. I'm going to click this top little bar here and break off my tool. I'm going to place it right here underneath my outliner. And I'm going to start by selecting my smooth tool. And I'm going to double click my tool over here in the left and bring up these tool settings. Let's make them a little bit smaller. There we go. I'm also going to go ahead and open up my outliner like so. And just place these tool settings right here. And what we want to do is we want to set the size of this Sculpt Tool Smooth brush to about 0.07. We still have our object symmetry turned on. And let's turn our strength to 10. Now, with our brush selected, just click and slowly rotate around the model. You can see it's smoothing out my topology. Try to avoid hitting the neck too much. We don't want it to shrink in too much. But it's basically smoothing out my topology here to create those nice organic shapes that I want to see. But we're also losing mass. So we're going to build our mass back out with the Sculpt tool. All right, I'm going to decrease the size of my brush. There's a shortcut to doing that. If you hold down the B for brush and left click and drag, you can change the diameter of your sculpting tool. Now I'm going to change my strength to somewhere around 10. And now I can click. I'm click, 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 click. And if you hold down shift, it'll bring up your sculpt smooth tool again. So if you bring up too much form. And I think I have too much strength, so let's go to 5. It's going to be real subtle kind of moves that we need to make. And it's basically just allowing me to kind of increase the size of my brush. smooth with shift and left click and rotate, kind of like you're scrubbing. And for right now, let's bring out some mass right here. Smooth it down, mass, smooth it. Bring out some mass, smooth it a little bit. And there we go. You can see that my smooth tool is kind of taking my topology and in your edge flow, you'll see it kind of move and change. But it's a very quick way to get organic shapes from blocky materials. That blocky primitive cube that we had. All right, awesome. Next, we're going to create the geometry for the neck, and that's going to be pretty easy. We're just going to double click the edge loop around my neck hole, and we're just going to go ahead and extrude up my neck. Just bring it in. And the sculpt tool can do a lot of stuff, but it can't really help us when we're trying to figure out the most relaxed possible nice organic shape for around this hole right here. You saw earlier how it was kind of messing with it. So do the best you can to create a nice ring of verts, and the perspective tool really helps for this. You can already see that like this vert, how it's so jagged. Maybe if you can almost see the curvature of the topology right here in our neck. Perfect. And double check stuff from two sides always. You can see it look good from my front, but from my side view, you can still see I have a little bit of a weird topology going on. This will definitely change, but it's nice to go ahead and kind of evenly distribute out our forms a little bit. Perfect. Oh, got zoomed in a little bit. All right. One more tweak to my scale of my neck hole and where it's oriented. You don't want to come up all the way to the head. We'll figure that out in a little bit. But maybe right up to this trachea right here. And that'll serve us nicely. I kind of want to bring up the verts in the back of my neck. Kind of suggest the way the neck kind of keeps going up the back a little bit. I know I just refined them a little bit in those side views. But there's just a lot of tweaks and refinement that go along in the process of organic modeling. All right, that'll be good for now. Next, we're just going to insert two edge loops, kind of evenly distributed down the neck. And the next thing we're going to do is, you guessed it, we're going to use a sculpt tool, but this time we're going to use something called the relax tool. The relax tool is kind of like the smooth tool, but it helps retain the mass and shape of what you're trying to relax. So we'll give it a strength of 10, a brush size of 0.07. Click once to go into sculpt mode on the object you want. Let's give it a little bit more strength than 10. Let's try 20. And you can see that, the neck volume really isn't changing much. But let me give it more strength. There we go. But you can see it's nicely flowing into the rest of my my body here now. All right. I think I'm going to go back to my sculpt tool and maybe build out some of the mass here. My neck's looking a little skinny right now. Let's give it a strength of 3. And we still have a nice smooth setup. And there we go. We're building out the mass of my delts now. We'll smooth it down a little bit. I don't want to undo that. I don't want to mess with the topology of my shoulders too much right now. All right. You can already see we have a decent edge flow going. We'll keep refining the form and silhouette of our character here. But for right now, that'll be just fine.